pollution. Tomorrow you'll have a review, and then Wednesday you have a. So let's go ahead and talk about pollution. So we are going to be talking about what's in the air, what makes up smog and acid rain, pollution that can be found indoors, the dangers of carbon monoxide, the ozone layer, and climate change in this lesson. And then we're going to talk about what the air quality index is and how that's used throughout the world. We already know air is one of the most valuable resources. We need air every minute of our lives in order to survive. The human brain can only go 5 minutes with no air without it suffering extensive damage. And air can be very easily polluted, both outside of your homes and inside. We also know air is a mixture of gases, including nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. The three main nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide go through cycles in order to ensure that it does not run out. However, they do not always clean the air efficiently. Any contamination to the atmosphere is known as air pollution. Air pollution is substances that cause pollution are known as pollutants. These can be chemicals such as ash or chlorine. These substances can have harmful effects on both plants and animals, and it can even alter the climate, so the weather over an extended period of time of the entire planet. So how do these pollutants get into the air? One way is by emissions, which are particles and gases that are released into the air, either through vehicles or factories. Anytime that, if you've ever been to a bonfire, all of those things release pollutants, and these usually are in the form of carbon dioxide. Even planes have a large amount of emissions. I mean, they use fuel so that they are able to fly through the air. Jet cars use fuel in order to drive. Also, natural sources of emissions, like erupting volcanoes that release ash and nitrogen oxide gas into the atmosphere. So if we look at this graphic, we can see that the pollutants or the emissions come from airplanes, cars, trucks, from power plants, treatment, factories, the fertilizer that we use to grow crops, the livestock that we use for goods, and some natural ones like forests and wildflowers, excuse me, volcanoes, and even lightning can cause some of these emissions into the atmosphere. Smog. Smog is not usually in this area. Larger cities, Los Angeles, many cities in China and Japan, they always have seem to have high. So you've probably never heard the word smog alert in your weather forecast. This is a condition that creates almost a fog-like appearance. It is known as a photochemical smog and is a thick brownish. Think of like a smoky fog. It's more dense. It looks dirty, not like the fog that you wake up to in the morning. And these are often found above large cities where there are lots of cars and businesses. So the more people that live there, the more likely you are to experience smog. Temperature inversion is something that has pollution. Usually pollutants blow away from cities, but sometimes it sticks around, and this can lead to temperature inversion. And then the next layer above the buildings is cooler, and higher up in the atmosphere is where it is the coldest. With temperature inversion, it's the middle layer of gases that are warmer than the lower and upper layers. And this keeps pollutants trapped in the atmosphere even longer. So here's normal. We have our hot air at the bottom layer, and then cooler air layers. In temperature inversion, cold air stays down and traps the pollutants. These green squiggly arrows, those are your pollutants. So the warm air actually in the middle layer traps the pollutants in the lower atmosphere. Some health effects of smog. Immediate effects are itchy eyes and a scratchy throat, but can become more serious. It can lead to lung problems and keep your immune system. So your immune system is what fights off infections and diseases and viruses from working properly. And people that have asthma or other breathing conditions have to be extra careful during a smog alert because it can exacerbate or make those conditions worse. Acid rain is another cause of air pollution. It is precipitation that is more acidic. So there are some things that we call basic, some things we call neutral, and some things we call acidic. An example of something basic would be milk. Water would be neutral, and like lemon juice would be acidic. Typically, precipitation is neutral in that neutral zone, but the pollution can actually cause it to lean to the acidic side more, and can cause some serious issues. It can cause lakes to become acidic, which kills fish. It can also kill entire forests because the trees die off from this acidic precipitation. We can help lakes by adding lime to the water, not but forests usually do cover for years upon years after an experience with acid rain. And not just acid rain, snow can also become acidic. Indoor air pollution. So again, pollution can be indoors as well as outdoors. Things like dust, pet hair, your cleaning products, air fresheners can cause indoor air pollution. They're usually much less harmful, but more of the harmful pollutants indoors can be found in oil-based paints, cigarette smoke, and certain glues. So different air pollutants indoors can be dust mites, pet dander, asbestos, dust and chemicals. The door. Excuse me for just a minute, folks. I apologize for the crying. My little one got hurt. Out in your yard, things like pollen, herbicides, and pesticides, carbon monoxide, paints, solvents, tobacco smoke, carpeting, even furniture, the chemicals used to treat furniture, chemical smoke, carbon dioxide in your kitchen, mildew, bacteria, viruses, and household cleaners in your bathrooms can all contribute to air pollution. One of the most harmful indoor air pollutions is known as carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide has no odor, taste, or color, but it is dead. Coal, oil, or gas is not completely burned off. Most furnaces have the potential to produce this gas, so it's important that your homes have a carbon monoxide detector, which is different from a smoke detector. They're two different things. Radon is another dangerous pollutant that can be found in the home. It is colorless and odorless, but is radioactive. I'm teaching. Exposure to radon can lead to lung cancer, other problems, and then systems installed. So what can this all do? It can actually affect the ozone layer. Remember, the ozone layer is a layer of the stratosphere that is approximately 25 miles above the surface of the Earth. What it does is protect us from the sun's ultraviolet radiation. On the surface, it is considered a pollutant, but up in the atmosphere, it actually protects us. So all of these pollutants, what they do is they produce holes in the ozone layer, which allows more of that harmful radiation from the sun to get to us. These holes are CFCs, or chlorofluorocarbons, and those can be found in things like fire extinguishers, spray cans, and air conditioners. The pollutants in our atmosphere also have the ability to change our climate. They do this by either blocking out the ultraviolet rays, by trapping the heated gases. This is called the greenhouse effect. And this occurs when sunlight comes through the Earth's atmosphere and heats up the Earth. In a normal atmosphere, the heat escapes back into space. In a polluted environment, it gets trapped in. This leads to global warming, which means that our base temperatures is getting hotter, which could lead to melting of the ice caps and stronger, more severe storm systems. So what can we do about it? That's the last thing we're going to talk about. So I got to pull up my other PowerPoint here. Oh, the air quality index. We're going to talk about that first. So the air quality index is a way for a government to alert people to the quality of air and how bad the pollution is in an area or a city. And they use different colors to determine if it's safe to go outside. So green, you're good to go. Yellow, it's still okay. Orange, it's going to be unhealthy for people like the elderly, children, and those with lung diseases. And then anything above orange can be very damaging for your health, and you want to avoid going outside. We're going to talk about this right here in just a second, because you're going to use it for your assignment today. What can you do to help? Anytime you use less energy, like electricity or gasoline, it can help reduce air pollution. You can do that by turning off the lights when leaving a room, not leaving your TV or computer on when you're not using it, driving less, carpooling. All of that can help reduce the amount of pollution going up into the air. Any questions about air quality and pollution? All right, let's talk quickly about what you're going to do for your assignment. So your assignment, you are going to go to waqi.info, so World Air Quality Index, and it has this lovely map with all colors. And you are going to choose any place in the world. If you want to choose somewhere around us, perfect. If you want to go to other parts, that is. It has a zoom and zoom out button over here. So if I want to zoom in and take a look at some other place or closer look at places, I can. And let's choose Tehran. Okay, so Tehran I can see is orange. And it tells me that its air quality index right now, as of 2 hours ago, is 138, which falls in that unhealthy category. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to say I chose Tehran, and their air quality number is 138, which is orange, and it says that when it asks the warning that comes, you're going to write what is here under meaning. And then your last two things you're going to answer is what should people in Tehran or wherever location you choose do to stay safe, and what can they do to bring down their air quality index numbers? So what can they do to reduce the pollution? Any questions about your assignment?